Hi, and welcome back to The Swamp, your favorite acronym podcast. I'm Roy G. Biv, here with my co-host, PEMDAS, and today we're going to be breaking down all of the best acronyms for you. But really, the best acronym is SWAMP, which stands for...
Some whack-ass movie podcasting.
And that's the only acronym we will be further discussing here. So, in actuality, my name is Dara.
I'm Emily.
And, we're just going to be really honest, open, and transparent right now. This is the second time we've had to record this episode. My computer is from the year 2015, and it crashed, and I lost everything. We had two lovely guests. We, really had a great time, and then it crashed, and we lost everything, and I freaked the fuck out and promptly bought a new laptop. So, if anything good is going to come out of this... At least my keyboard changes colors now. So hopefully, re-recording, we'll have some hot new takes. We've had some time to really let this movie marinate.
Leave our brains.
Yeah, I would say by marinate, I do forget about 90% of the plot now.
Really, it's a recovery process right now.
So we're going to be covering Casino Royale, the James Bond film. But before we get into it for the second time now, I did just want to big shout out and thank you to everyone who's listened. As of right now, we have 100 downloads, which is what? Woo! Who wants to listen to us? What the fuck? And we get the little breakdown of where everyone lives. And, I figured it would all just be my friends and family who I've physically harassed into listening to this. I will steal your phone and download it, just for the numbers. But we've got some good reach, some people out in Europe. If you want to let us crash in your basement.
We'll do a European tour. You can watch some movies with us.
Yeah,
get on the pod.
By European tour, we're going to forcibly come to your home and hang out with you. But send us a DM. We'd love to come to Denmark.
Yeah. Also, we see you, Philippines.
The Philippines? What the fuck? Even Washington State, that's all the way across the country. I don't know any fucking people there.
I want to shout out to the 6 people that have consistently been tuning in from Washington State. Thank you. I don't know you, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah, if any non-people who know us in real life want to, reach out and let us know what you think, please do, because I'm interested, why the fuck are you listening to us? But anyways, big thank you to everybody. Y'all are great. So we're going to hopefully make it kind of a thing where the third episode of each month, we're going to do a little bit of a giveaway. So we had 10 entries, which was pretty cool. We ran some polls on social media, and everyone who answered their opinions about Devil Wears Prada. Shout out to the people who wrote in that Meryl Streep / Miranda Priestley was the hottest character, because you're right. It was a test, and you passed. Yeah. But so I'm going to we're doing this live. I'm going to generate a random number. We're going to see...
Number 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do you know this person?
Oh, yeah. Eli, you've won.
So, Emily's friend Eli, I don't know you, but we'll be sliding into your DMs quite promptly to get some shipping information from you so we can send you some free shit.
I'll just give it to him in person.
The benefits,
see you next week.
Yeah, benefits of having a small audience. But anyways, so for next month, there'll be another giveaway if, stay tuned for that. But we just want to, big thanks to everyone who's listened so far. So,
all right.
If this movie hasn't entirely left your brain, which it very well has for me, let's, try to get back into some of what we had said about Casino Royale. Unfortunately, we will be missing the riveting opinions of Jack and Henry, but, they're not here anymore. So they can be here in spirit, I guess.
We'll allow it.
Why did we pick James Bond?
Honestly, for strategic reasons. We're trying to cast a bit of a wide net here with the first couple of movies and reach a good audience, and James Bond felt like a very
accessible.
Accessible. One to really throw into the versatile mix. I mean, we did Star Wars, The Devil Wears Prada, The Incredibles. Why would we not do James Bond?
Well,
it's iconic.
We were like, what are movies every person has seen? And you were like, duh, James Bond. And I kind of had to how do I break this to her? I had never seen a single James Bond movie in my entire goddamn life. But, you know, I think this was a good introduction. I think you selected a good one to kind of introduce me to the series. Honestly, I've just never had any personal interest. They always kind of seemed like cash grab action movies to me, which, you know, I've seen enough of. I had no interest. But I did enjoy this, and I think it has a little bit more depth to it than what I was expecting. I really was just expecting a surface level, you know, spy movie. But I thought this had some good points to it.
Awesome. So, of what you remember, do you want to recap the movie for the audience, or should I?
Okay, we can make it a collaborative effort. Because like I said, the minute we lost the podcast, I started scribbling down every detail I could remember about the movie, because by the time we had finished recording, I was like, yeah, the plot isn't really sticking with me. So I tried to gather as much from my brain that did stick. But I think, you know, of the nuanced details that this movie gives its audience, they're not that important. The important thing is that there is a ball torture scene, and that is what did stick with me.
To be fair, the movie is 2.5 hours long.
So goddamn long.
And at least an hour, probably an hour 15 of that is just them sitting at a casino table.
A poker table. And for somebody who doesn't fucking know how to play poker, it just went over my head. I was like, I don't give what is a royal flush? What does two aces mean? Like, the camera would sneakily pan behind somebody to show their cards. I'm like, I don't fucking know what that means. Is that good? Bernard from Westworld was there. That's all I was paying attention to. Some guy had a long-ass ponytail, and I was like, get it, wig. But anyways,
all right.
The movie starts off...
Indeed it does.
Yeah, the movie does start in a certain way in which information is revealed to the audience about how James Bond has just been promoted to 007 status, license to kill, so he's moving up in the ranks in MI6?
Yeah, MI6, which is pretty much the CIA for the Brits.
Yeah, so Judi Dench, she is like, you know, you got your license to kill, and then he immediately does that. He is in Uganda?
We couldn't find an answer last time.
I thought it was Madagascar, because
I don't think it's Madagascar. Madagascar feels like a very inaccessible country. It's just like floating out like at the bottom of Africa.
I don't know why I thought that. But anyways, they're in some sort of African country, and he's chasing some guy who makes bombs for a terrorist organization through a construction site. I don't really know why that, like, what importance that holds to the plot at all, but it was pretty fun to watch.
It's just James Bond can run fast, and he knows extensively about construction equipment because he's bouncing all over there.
He's pulling different levers and ropes, and they're like causing different things to happen. And I'm like, what is this inherent knowledge you have? He probably worked construction for years. That's part of your training, actually. Because this comes up a lot, I bet. But so then he, like, goes rogue or whatever. They're kind of pissed off at him for doing this thing. So he's like, I'm going rogue. I'm doing whatever I want. He goes to the Bahamas? He goes to the Bahamas. He fucks this married woman on the floor.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, he doesn't fuck her. He just they roll around on the floor, and then he leaves. He kills some people. They go to the Body World exhibit at a museum. He kills someone there. I don't really know. They're all part of some sort of terrorist organization that he's against. I fill in the gaps here, but then does anything happen between then and when the casino happens? He teams up with Vesper, who's this girl who she worked in the Treasury Department, but for some reason they're letting her join him on a mission.
It's just because there's so much money at stake because they're gambling all of it. So they were like, okay, we gotta send a babysitter, I guess.
But then she, like, promptly does nothing except, like, look hot and cry, so...
I mean, that's what every Bond woman does, though. I didn't expect anything else.
At least she had a job. Yeah, at least she was employed. Exactly. But then, so they do some gambling. Mads Mikkelsen plays the villain. He's got a scar on his eyeball.
He cries blood.
Yeah, he cries blood, so that's how you know he's evil. He is, you know, entangled with this terrorist organization and is helping them launder money or something like that.
Pretty much James Bond wins the poker game. Yeah,
they play poker for 9 fucking hours. And he keeps ordering a martini, and everyone's like, that sounds good, and I don't know. Then
Excuse me, it's the martini.
The Vesper martini, which I really felt the need to remember the ingredients of, because this is the kind of movie that I think comes up in trivia a lot. Like, when I'm playing trivia, they'll be like, which Bond film had the villain with the bowler hat? And I'm like, shit, I don't fucking know. But so the ingredients of a Vesper martini sound like a good trivia question to me. So I'm like, I should log that in my trivia bank of my brain, but I don't remember anything other than vodka?
Vodka, gin, some
vermouth,
other...
maybe
No, it's
a
something
lemon.
else.
I know, but it's
just a lemon peel.
A lemon peel and not an olive, which I respect, because people who put those weird little onions or the olive in their drink, that's kind of weird to me. But I guess I'm not high class because I don't know how to play poker.
Yeah. So pretty much James Bond wins. I don't even want to say the poker game.
He almost dies.
A couple
times.
times. And then Mads Mikkelsen tortures his balls.
Yeah, they like strategically plan that he's gonna crash his car, and then they capture him, and then they tie him to a chair that has no bottom to it, and then they torture his balls. But then other people from the terrorist organization who are mad that Mads Mikkelsen hasn't gotten them their money or whatever, they save the day for some reason. Then, James Bond is like, he goes to the ball hospital where they nurse his balls back to health, and he's like, Vesper, I've known you for 2 weeks. I'm gonna quit my job. Let's run away together. They do that, but it turns out that she kind of double-crossed him, and she stole all the money that he won in the poker game and is giving it back to the terrorist organization or something like that. He's pissed. He goes after her.
She dies.
A building collapses and she dies, and you kind of learn at the end that maybe she had cut a deal with them in order to save his life after the ball torture scene. It's a bit of a gray area whether she was... actually loved him or not. Honestly, I don't care. The relationship was not believable. We're doing way too much recap. Honestly, you don't need to watch this movie unless you're trying to get really good at trivia, is what I have to say.
Yeah. And then James just goes back to his day job
at
MI6.
Yeah, he did quit, and Judi Dench was like, whoa. Let's take a minute here and think about that. And he goes, you're right, I'm not quitting. And he kind of has the last laugh, I guess, but in the end, it seems like he just kind of had a lot of failures and a lot of ball injuries.
Yeah, let's dive right into that. I think that the thing on the forefront of everyone's mind after watching this, you said it best, this is the one thing that stuck with you after watching it, is the ball torture and the ball hospital. Yeah, the construction fight scene at the beginning, what I think was just really well done, and that I definitely was like, I don't understand what's happening or why anyone is fighting, but it was cool. Then everything between there and the ball torture scene, which is about 2 hours of the film, kind of just, I'm lost about it. And then the ball torture scene, so good. It just gave me everything that I needed, because it is roughly about 2.5 hours into the movie, and I'm like, you're losing me here. Nope, we're gonna do ball torture. And I'm like, I'm back in. It's just Daniel Craig, ass naked, sitting on a bottomless chair, while Mads Mikkelsen, like... whips his balls. Yeah, pretty seductively, I might add. There's, like, one point... They're making eye contact. They're licking their lips. There's a lot of tension. Yeah. There's, like, one part right before he starts, like... He's got, like... It's pretty much a knotted rope that he goes and he smacks James Bond's balls with. And there's just this one point, like, right before he starts torturing him, that he just... slaps the entire thing onto his chest, and it's just like, I think they're gonna kiss. Yeah, everyone in this movie talks with their faces 1 inch away from each other, and I just have to say that the sexual tension between James Bond and whatever villain he's talking to, or like, other agents, is just so much more believable than his 2 love interests in the movie. Yeah. What is Bernard from Westworld? What's that actor's name? Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, they're like, because Jeffrey Wright works for the CIA and is also undercover at this poker game or whatever. Every time they exchange information, they're like, they brush cheeks a little bit. They're talking like, low and seductive. Let's get this. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? But so this ball scene though, just the way that it happens has almost zero explanation or lead up. Where like, how did this villain group
devised this plan in which they're like, okay, Jimmy, you're gonna get the chair. You're gonna whip out your pocket knife, you cut out the bottom of it. Perfect. We tie James Bond to the chair. Yes, that rope that we have hanging around. You know how we regularly practice hitting each other's dicks with this rope? That's gonna come in handy. We're gonna, because he never misses.
You could tell this was not Mads Mikkelsen's first rodeo. He's had extensive practice.
Yeah, he never misses. He just keeps tapping these balls over and over. And, at one point, Daniel Craig, or, James Bond, he is giving the impression, I'm not going to give you the information that you want, so you might as well keep going. So he's like, ooh, now I'm into it. And he's like, yes! Yeah, keep doing it! And I'm like...
Just gets extremely kinky, honestly.
Yeah, it's
and I'm
so
not here
erotic.
to shame. I won't kink shame James Bond. I just
think that this gives us a little bit insight into Daniel Craig as an actor, and I think he did method for this. I think he and Rachel Weisz really just got in the bedroom. They started experimenting with some ball torture, and he really knew how to take it. I believe that they fully whipped his balls for real while filming this. I think that happened.
Do you think it was him and Rachel in the bedroom and they both had the scripts, like, just practicing?
He's like, okay, but you're gonna have to put in one contact so you have a wonky, milky eye, so I can believe that you're Mads Mikkelsen, because you're Rachel Weisz, you're just too hot.
She would definitely do it, too. I think she's a very supportive wife, and I think she would put in the contact.
It was just like how he, mud-bathed with her to practice for The Favorite, I bet. No, that didn't happen.
He said that like it was a fact, and I was like, oh my
No.
God, what a great supportive relationship. Actors.
I bet they both go method, This is not factual. Don't take any of this for real. But yeah, the ball scene for sure. And then I think my favorite part of the movie that I just could not stop hysterically cracking up is after he gets his balls tortured and they somehow escape, he goes to the nut hospital.
Which, mind you, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's in Italy.
It's on a lake, like an amazing lake. Like,
he has a villa.
Yeah, I would stay here as a bed and breakfast.
And yeah, so he's in a wheelchair with a blanket over his lap, like a decrepit person.
Like a little man.
And they're like, now that you've been checked into the ball hospital, we can start working on your balls, which they seem to really just get him back to going because he fucks Vesper 2 days later.
Yeah, you would think that the cardinal rule of being in the ball hospital is to keep your balls inactive. That's not the case for James Bond.
Maybe that's the test, though. They're like, oh, you're fucking, you're free to go.
Yeah.
We did our job.
Yeah, that's how you get discharged.
From the ball hospital. That part at the end there just really revived my interest in the film. Cause the whole middle part with all of the killing and the poker, I couldn't relate to it.
Have you ever played poker in your life?
No, I know how to play pitch, but that's not poker.
I think this movie would have been far more interesting if they played Uno.
Yeah, go fish. Yeah, Uno's intense. I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about people trying to dispute the rules of Uno, and
it's a hot topic.
And the official Uno Twitter will respond, and people are like, "No, we are overriding the official Uno rules." I haven't played Uno in a hot minute. Maybe I should get back.
Play
on
some
that.
Uno.
Some high stakes Uno though.
Yeah.
With some CIA agents.
I think we could. We should get a crowd of them. Bring them down to the basement. We can all just play Uno.
So Daniel Craig, what do we think?
I mean, I think he's the perfect Bond. I don't want to say the perfect Bond, but for this generation and this era, I'd say he was kind of the perfect Bond. Mm-hmm. And I really liked what they did with this Bond, making him less, I don't want to say perfect.
Graceful,
almost. Yes,
maybe.
Graceful. Graceful is the perfect word. He's more, I don't know, a real human being rather than just
a killing machine.
Yeah, a handsome killing machine that takes no damage at all and just fucks women.
Yeah, I do think that was kind of the objective of the whole movie, was that he, starts off getting promoted, and he has a license to kill now, and he's really throwing himself into his work. And then throughout the movie, we slowly see some humanizing moments between him and Vesper particularly. She kind of gets to him as a person, she taps into his emotional side, and then that betrayal, really kind of breaks him. and we see him as a real person, but then at the end we kind of revert back to, you know, killing machine. So it's certainly an interesting arc. I haven't seen the sequel, nor will I probably, but, you know, maybe the development of James Bond plays into later films. And I haven't seen any of the other ones either, so I don't have much to compare it to, but I think his performance was really good. He was convincing, like, suave enough to have me convinced that he could, you know, get these ladies, but then also kind of clunky enough that during the performances I had things to kind of laugh at, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, he's flopping all over the place like a fish sometimes when he's trying to fight these people.
And yeah, he's certainly, like, I wonder how much of these stunts he actually did himself. I know he got fucking jacked for this movie. He gained like 20 pounds of muscle, he quit smoking, like all of that. So I bet some of this he is actually doing himself, which is definitely more believable, because if you are, like, running through a fucking construction site, like, you're probably gonna trip. At least I would. I don't know. But yeah, I thought Daniel Craig was pretty good. I also kind of like that he isn't a 10 out of 10 Hollywood hot person. Like, he could just be someone's dad, kind of. But, like, obviously, you know, getting ripped and, you know, getting into Hollywood shape kind of elevates. But yeah, he, to me, isn't anything super special, but it's like the swagger and the attitude of James Bond that he really embodied that sold it to me, you know? So I think that proved that he was a really good actor. Because, you know, when somebody's just really hot and you're like, are you a good actor? Or are you just so hot that you can just be hot and you're getting my attention, you know? Yeah. With Daniel Craig, I was like, no, he convinced me, and he did.
Speaking of actors playing James Bond, so Daniel Craig is done with the franchise after the new one comes out, No Time to Die. And I just want to know what your thoughts about who should be the next James Bond are. There's been tons of rumors. Tom Hiddleston, I mean, Idris Elba. Tiny little baby Tom Holland said he wants to do it. They talked about Harry Styles doing it, which I think would definitely be, what is it?
Gay.
We just see gay James Bond, but very much like the pretty James Bond.
I would love a 10-minute short film where Tom Holland is James Bond and the villain just picks him up by the scruff of his neck like a baby kitten and throws him into a concrete wall and just murders him on sight, and that's the end. I think that would be how it goes if Tom Holland was James Bond. That little Twinkie boy cannot convince me. I just
know he can't put on muscle for shit. He's staying at like 150 pounds, and that's it. He can play Spider-Man, but
yeah, I don't know about James Bond, Tommy boy. But honestly, I don't give a fuck at all. I don't care. You know, not to, you know, for the purposes of this podcast, it's not very good that I'm so detached from this movie in all senses, but I personally don't care. But I know that there's been a lot of talk about, you know, Daniel Craig is such an iconic Bond that, you know, who could possibly follow that up? And I think they need to give it a break for sure. Give it 10, 15 years. We don't need another ones, especially, you know, how successful these past two, and I'm sure the third one will be as well. I know there's like a female agent in the new Bond one, and, you know, that's a very like girl power moment, and that has shifted the conversation, like, ooh, what if we revamp James Bond, but she's Jane Bond? And that would make me throw myself off a cliff, honestly. Let's stop with the all-female reboots, and let's just start writing original female characters, you know?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the owner of, I don't know, the franchise, one of the females that sort of runs the James Bond ship has spoken about that, saying, like, we will never make James Bond a female for that exact reason, because there are so many other interesting stories you can tell with women.
And it's so hokey.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know, for the next one, like I said, I would appreciate if they waited some time, you know, maybe 15 years from now, if Tom Holland learns how to stop being such a little Twinkie cupcake, then maybe he could pull it off. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe something drastically different from Daniel Craig. Also could be, I don't know, maybe an older Bond and Idris Elba, like you said. I would be down to see some older Bond, kind of how they did older Batman with Ben Affleck, but that was awful. So maybe that's not the best way to go. So I don't know, younger Bond, older Bond, something different, because I'm sure if they just cast another, 30 to 40-year-old white guy, it's just, and they're probably not going to be able to do as good of a job just because this one was so iconic. I know last time we talked about it, we said maybe like a Dev Patel could kind of put a fun new twist on it. I love Dev Patel. I would watch a James Bond movie for that man for sure.
I think even if they did it now, Dev would be a good choice, but even in 15 years, if they went for an older Bond, he would still be a prime choice.
Yeah, but I would say overall, Hollywood, I know you're trying to grab that cash, especially these days, but chill a little, please.
Just let us relax.
Give me something else other than, I don't know, series that have already been made.
Yeah. Give me the new James Bond that you've been pushing back for the last year and a half before you start casting for the next franchise, please. Put it on HBO Max already.
I do think this will be a good little segue into our conversation about Bond villains in general, but I just wanted to say that my only really thoughts about the new one were that the trailers were playing a lot in theaters, before COVID and everything. And obviously they pushed back the release date like a full year, just like everything else. But the trailers were, hitting hard in the movie theaters. And they do like a really big reveal in the trailer where Rami Malek, who plays the villain, has a huge facial deformity, but wears a mask all the time. And he does the big, he takes off the mask and reveals his face, and it turns out he, has burn wounds or whatever it is. But it just was really weird to me, and I'm sure that the people who made it maybe know what they're doing, and it's not actually the big reveal. And the big reveal is he's going to take off the Rami Malek face, and it's going to be someone else. It's going to be Freddie Mercury underneath, and then there's going to be singing. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was such a strange choice.
Yeah.
Because it really was a big,
I thought the stranger choice was just casting Rami Malek as a Bond villain.
Rami Malek hasn't done anything as good as his role in Breaking Dawn, the fourth Twilight movie.
I forget he's in that.
Yeah, every time I rewatch the Twilights, I'm like, oh, Rami Malek is here, and he is the Avatar. He can, bend the elements. That's his vampire power. Honestly, give us a feature film about that motherfucker. Stop with this biopic bullshit. But anyways, I thought that would be a good little transition into talking about why the fuck do all Bond villains have facial deformities?
Every single one.
I know nothing about James Bond as a franchise, as the movies or whatever, but I know that all Bond villains have some sort of fucked shit going on with their face.
I thought it was really interesting, too, because this is the first movie for the Daniel Craig franchise, and they went pretty light with the facial deformities on Mads Mikkelsen. He just has, an eyeball scar and a milky, cloudy eye, and he cries
He cries blood.
But
he has asthma. He takes a little puff of his inhaler every once in a while, and I thought it was going to be revealed that he's I don't know, huffing paint thinner or something, and that's why he's so evil. But no, it's just, he is an asthmatic. So I think that this is some really great representation for those with asthma and those who cry blood. But also, it's pretty bad stigmatizing that if you have a facial scar that you suck at poker and are evil.
He's actually just doing whippets with the inhaler. But I mean, this was kind of it's weird that I don't know. I feel like you learn as time goes on, what's acceptable to portray and what's not. And they started, and I mean, they should know by now because the Bond franchise is 40, 50 years old at this point. But they started off with okay, minor disformities on his face, and then as the franchise goes on,
they rev it up.
They rev it up so hard, there's
especially when it's been put under so much criticism as well. People are hey, can you stop doing that? And they're no, this time it's worse.
Yeah. Javier Bardem's character in Skyfall has an entire half of his face is caved in.
Yeah, now with this Rami Malek character in this next one, he has, burn wounds from what it looks like. I don't know what the tea is there. But yeah, so weird. And yeah, especially because people have commented, they're hey, let's not make disabled people like evil. Like, let's not demonize, you know, facial disfigurements as, you know, a characterization of a villain. And they just really keep doing it. It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Weird choice.
I feel like that's the one thing that they've really not learned from it all. But one thing that I do want to point out that I feel like they've done better in this franchise is really tone down the objectifying of women.
Which is like a softball there being thrown at you, because
they did the bare minimum.
It's still bad. Like, I haven't seen, you know, I'm going to say for the millionth time, I haven't seen the old ones, so I can't really speak to them, but, you know, it is well known that the Bond girl is the, you know, the floozy kind of, she's an object, she has no agency as a character, and at least, like I said, with Vesper, she has a job, and sometimes advocates for herself, question mark, you know.
On a good day.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the two, like, I'm gonna say primary female characters, I guess love interests more. Yeah. I'm excluding Judi Dench because she's everything. But the first love interest, her name is Solange, and I think her name is Solange. You guys keep saying it's not. I do remember that. I feel it because I was like, oh, Solange, don't touch my hair, you know? But
hey, I believe you.
But so I think her name was Solange, and she was mad hot, and she was wearing this slinky little dress, and she's like, I'm a married woman, and he's like, that's just my type. And then they romp around in his hotel room on the floor. There's a couch right there, but he was like, no, I'm gonna pin you to the floor, which I was like, okay, let's calm down here.
Dara's got some really big issues with the fact that they were on the floor.
If I was her dress looked expensive, his suit looked expensive, and also, like, the floor looked hard, and there was a couch there, I'm sure there was a bed. I know you're trying to be hot in the moment, but it just didn't do it for me.
I think they were just trying to, like, effectively align their backs and just multitask while doing it.
Yeah,
they rolled around a lot. They switched. She was on top. He was on top. Both of their backs got aligned. Fucking chiropractor.
He had a long, hard day, you know, chasing people through the construction site, and he was like, I'm gonna spin this hot, sexy moment just to, you know. But, so she's kind of a nothing character. She basically just serves the purpose of developing Bond as this sort of womanizer or whatever. She gets murdered and is wrapped up in a hammock, and then that's just kind of the end of it. And then we're immediately introduced to the new love interest, Vesper, and I'm like, damn, James, you didn't even bat an eye. You're just on to the next one, huh? But she's kind of like, I'm deep and mysterious, unlike most girls. And he was like, you know, well, my type isn't you. And she was like, well, we'll see about that. And then obviously they'd fall in love because, you know, that's how
James Bond works.
Yeah, how, you know,
every single movie.
Predictable movie writing. But so, yeah, she's supposed to be, you know, she's not like most girls. But then he's like, wear this dress so everyone at the poker game looks at you and not my cards or whatever. And then he, you know, names a drink after her. She cries in the shower for a little bit and he sucks on her fingers.
Wait, no, we need to talk about that more. You can't just skim right over that. There's this one scene, it's like in the middle of the poker game, they've like recessed for the night or something like that. And it's pretty much, James gets into this huge brawl with these two, I think we're just gonna say Ugandan because we're pretty sure that Uganda's where the whole initial fight took off.
I don't know, man.
So James is fighting these two Ugandan men, which they didn't come with guns, they just came with machetes, because of course Ugandan men don't know how to use guns, only machetes.
Yeah, I hated that. They were like, oh, all of the white villains, you know, are really suave and wear suits and have guns, but the two Ugandan terrorists, they come in, like, with fucking burlap sack vests on, swinging machetes. Like, Jesus Christ, let's be a little less heavy-handed about that. But anyways, they get into a little bit of a kerfuffle, and Vesper is there, and she kind of gets thrown around a lot, and she gets, you know, pushed down a flight of stairs, thrown into a wall, and then James Bond promptly kills these two men. And she's so bummed that she had to witness a murder that she goes and sobs in the shower, which, like, I've never witnessed a murder, so I don't really know how I'd feel about it personally, but he just saved your life. Like, those motherfuckers were gonna machete your head right the fuck off. And, so she's, I guess, upset about seeing people die, but, you know, works for the CIA, so or not the CIA, whatever,
the Treasury. Oh, the Treasury.
But still, you know, it's gotta come up.
Like, you know you're on the...
She went on this mission with this top secret agent. Like, probably someone was gonna die at some point. But she gets in the shower fully clothed. Again, in a very expensive looking dress. Let's just, the disregard of money here.
Also, the timeline of this is the fact that the fight happens, he goes back and plays poker, I'm pretty sure.
For like another 6 hours.
Yeah, and then he comes back and she's just been in the shower for 6 hours, sitting on the floor.
And so he gets in the shower with all of his clothes on to, comfort her. And so he sits down next to her and he just grabs her hand and starts sucking on her fingers. And I'm like, what is the goal here? But I honestly think that this would be a really good strategy. If someone is upset, you just confuse them. If I was in a bad state and somebody just came up and started sucking my fingers, my entire attention would all of a sudden be like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? I couldn't have the mental energy to be sad anymore because I'm dealing with somebody slurping on my digits. So
she didn't even bat an eye, though. This was like just another like the murder was a lot for her, but the sucking of the fingers was just like a regular Saturday night.
Maybe we missed that this was actually in the debrief of the mission. She's like, hey, I'm a little bit sensitive. I might take a shower in my clothes. You just come on, join me, give my fingers a little sucky, and we'll be back to normal, Maybe this had been previously established between the two of them as something that would probably have to happen if two men from Uganda showed up with machetes, just running through all possible scenarios.
No. They definitely had an agreement beforehand.
But I don't know if I would have liked her better if she was more of a badass or had more fighting skills or was, more like that. I don't know.
Just interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if that would change how I felt about her, but she was just so uninteresting. She was such a nothing character to me. She basically was there to serve as his love interest that humanizes him and supports his, development as a character. He's no longer just a killing machine. He's a man with a heart. But why does he fall in love with her? Tell me one so interesting thing about her. She's just really hot, and that's it. So boring. She has a job. She's an accountant. She's a fucking accountant. I can't think of a more boring job than an accountant. But I guess she's an orphan too, so maybe that's mysterious.
They just bonded over their orphanness together. Kindred spirits.
So that means you should quit your job and run away together.
No. I couldn't think of any characters in this movie with less chemistry than those two. I think it's just because she was so boring.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, though. He had so much more chemistry with every villain who, speaking in low tones across the poker table. Like, give me that. Give me some Mads Mikkelsen and Daniel Craig action. That's what I want to see. Well, we did get it. We got it with the ball scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that paid off for me.
I'd say he had more chemistry with Judi Dench.
Yeah.
Really. He snuck into her house and went through all of her things, and she was, pissed off, and I was like,
yes.
Maybe this is when they kiss.
That's...
There wasn't...
that would have been a great... Honestly, I thought that was his mom. The age difference, I guess, maybe could make sense that she was his mom, but her name is M.
Just stands for mom.
And, because his British accent for a little bit, I'm like, whoa, hold up. Is that his mom? Because he breaks into her house, and she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, that's his mom. He knows his way in, because it's his mom's house. But then it is quickly established that is not his mom, and everyone we were watching the movie with was like, no, Dara, shut up, you're an idiot. But I kind of liked to keep in the back of my head throughout the whole movie that was his mom. Yeah. And it made their interactions a lot more fun to watch when she's, calling him a little bitch over the phone and be like, don't go rogue, you're fired, whatever. And I'm like, that's just mom playing around.
Is it because sometimes when they say ma'am, it sounds like mum?
Ma'am, mum, I don't know. I'm just uncultured, I guess. But I liked to imagine that Judi Dench was James Bond's mom and also his boss, and that maybe a little bit of nepotism going on there. Let's dive into that with the next Bond film, huh? Let's crack open the real issues.
She actually just put him up for adoption as a child and put him in the orphanage.
To build character.
As a ploy to just go and be like, all right, he's going to be mentally fucked, but you know what? This is going to be so good for work in 20 years.
He gives up the baby to fill the perfect agent in 20 years.
She's married to her job, and you know what? I respect her dedication.
I thought the casting for that was awesome, and I also thought that casting Mads Mikkelsen as a villain is just so...
top tier.
He just looks like a bad guy. He just unclockably looks evil. And
that's sexy.
Yeah, Personally, yes. And I also think, though, that they didn't have to give him the facial scar, the milky eye, and the crying blood. Take all of that away, but just keep the asthma. And I think that he still, his bone structure just screams like, you know, I'm gonna beat your balls with some rope later. You know, I think they didn't need to add the milky eye to make me believe that this man means business.
Do you think, because I think he's probably one of the best Bond villains, but they also have, I forget what one it is. I think the most recent Bond, they have Christopher Waltz as a Bond villain. Do you know who I'm talking about? He's in Inglourious Bastards. He plays the big head Nazi guy. Because to me, he's one of the best actors to play any villains.
He's got evil vibes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some people who just have certain vibes in the same way that Tom Holland would never be a convincing James Bond. He just has that air about him.
Tom Holland's gonna listen to this and just get super buff just to prove us wrong and just get mad.
I would love that. Tommy, if you're listening, hit us in the DMs. I'll enter you in next month's giveaway. I already know your address, so I'll be sending it your way.
You can just tear us apart and tell us how we're wrong and then prove us wrong in 15 years.
In the press release, he's like, yeah, some podcast with 30 listeners dissed me for not being able to gain muscle, so I really showed them wrong. That would be great press for us, I think.
We'll send you a t-shirt, Tommy. We'll make some merch just for you.
We'll make some merch. If Tom Holland responds to this with his, stance on why he should be James Bond, we'll make merch.
Yeah. And also, if any of you guys out there are interested in merch, let us know, because we will be willing to look into that.
Yeah.
Maybe some stickers?
Yeah, as part of the giveaways and stuff, we have some stickers, some stuff. If you guys like our logo, or if you hate our logo, tell us. I don't know. Let's get a little bit into our regularly
scheduled programming.
Yeah, our regular segments. Fuck, marry, kill.
I feel like this is an easy one.
Yeah. No doubt in my mind, do I want to get some ball torture going on with Mads Mikkelsen? He's my fuck for sure.
You think he'd want his balls tortured?
Maybe. For practice. Well, he'd want me to practice so that I could be like the henchman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you gotta do target practice.
You need a sidekick.
Yeah, I'll be a female supporting character who does not make this movie a feminist text in any way. I would sacrifice that for my man Mads. What is his name even in the movie?
Le Chiffre.
Le Chiffre.
Which I think stands for the cipher.
Yeah, okay. So he's my fuck for sure. Out of a very fuckable cast, this is a Hollywood hot cast. I guess I will marry Judi Dench because she has that stable government job. And also, come on, she just seems like she'd be a lovely life partner. And I'm gonna kill Vesper because she's boring and would probably be really easy to murder. She'd be crying in the shower and I'd be sucking on her fingers, then I would just slit her throat.
Yeah, really hit her when she's vulnerable.
What about you?
I have to agree with you on fucking Mads Mikkelsen. I mean, you really can't say no to that. I'm a little torn between marrying James Bond or Judi Dench, but I think James is
emotionally unavailable.
Exactly. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. And
like maybe he was a good time at the ball hospital when he was feeling a little bit vulnerable, but after that, he's snatched right back up into the whirlwind of spy life. I can't deal with that. Judy's got that good government job back at home. We can have some cats. I don't know. I think it's more stable.
Just if you ask me. And I mean, I think I have to agree with you on this one, too. The only person to really kill is Vesper, because I was trying to find someone else that I could kill. But she's just so uninteresting. There's nothing there that compels me to keep her
keep her alive. Yeah, fuck that bitch.
As an alternative, though, I could say marry or fuck a young Tobias Menzies in this. If any of you out there, your type is just tall, skinny little white boys with like a weird boyish haircut.
Yeah, like 6'5", with a really rectangular head and like floppy brown hair.
Yeah, just hollow cheekbones. Looks a little like a skeleton, but it works.
Like very Tim Burton claymation.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'd marry him. He seems very sweet.
And he got that good government job, too.
Exactly. Judi Dench is probably too stressed, like, all the time. But little Tobias, you know what? I'll change my Mary to him. Yeah.
I didn't really know who he was until I realized that he was Uncle Edmure from Game of Thrones, if that puts that into any context for anyone else. Way less cute in Game of Thrones for sure, but he was a little cutie here.
More recently, he's a blonde Prince Philip in The Crown.
Oh.
Yeah, no. I know how you feel about adult blondes.
Also, okay, so I'm gonna say we each have to do fuck, marry, kill for the people at the poker table. So I wanna okay, the guy with the really long ponytail, the guy who kind of looked like Biggie Smalls, and Jeffrey Wright, okay.
I'm marrying Jeffrey Wright. Oh, that's just,
absolutely.
I would be
agree.
Kind of scared to fuck either of them, but I'm gonna go with the long pony. I think that's very tentative, long pony.
I'm going for Biggie for sure. He was really confident during that poker game, and I don't want to say for sure that he was the first one to be like, I'll have one of those too. After
I think he was.
Yeah, James Bond orders, he's like, I'll have a martini, but I'm going to describe exactly how I want you to make it. And everyone at the table is kind of like, ooh, that sounds good. I'll have one of those. And he kind of pipes up first, and I like a man who
knows what he wants.
Knows alcohol. I don't know. So I guess I'll fuck him. I'll murder Ponytail Guy, and I will donate his hair to Locks of Love. Wait, actually, I think Locks of Love is kind of fucked up, and they like sell the wigs to the cancer patients for a lot of money. Yeah, I've heard if you're donating your hair, don't quote me on this, but research what organization you're going to donate your hair to before you do it, because I've heard Locks of Love is kind of, it's like a Susan G. Komen situation in which their CEO makes $1 billion and they don't actually help that many people. Yeah.
I just think it would be fun to have a guy's hair to pull for once. Instead of the opposite.
That could be like 2 long French braids. It could be like a sled dog's, mush. That could be some weird shit. I don't know.
It's just like reverse the roles for once. Let's see how you like.
Let me torture your balls for once. Let me get some target practice in. And so I think it goes without saying that the cocktail pairing for this movie has to be the Vesper Martini that they described. At one point, he also orders like a rum. I thought it was a rum and Coke, but somebody told me it was rum and soda water, which sounds kind of gross. But they do a lot of like name dropping of brands in this movie. A lot of like paid sponsorships, I'm sure, with like Aston Martin for the cars. Everyone's laptop is like the Sony Viso or whatever. And so he's like, I'll have a Mount Gay with soda, which is like a rum brand. And I just thought that was kind of funny. So
if you don't want to just have a terrible cocktail though, just make a dark and stormy instead. Please use like Sprite or something.
I just don't.
Seltzer and dark rum. There's zero flavor.
Or I guess a lot of citrus. If you add a lot of citrus to any cocktail, it can make it, redeemable. But the Vesper Martini that's described is, I like a strong drink, but not that strong.
I'm pretty sure what it is.
It's all alcohol. It's all booze with a lemon peel. Not even a squeeze of lemon juice, just the fucking peel.
I think it's something like 3 parts gin, 2 parts vodka, 1 part whatever other little liqueur they use in it, and then just a tiny little lemon peel. Like that's gonna mask anything.
Okay, I'm pulling up the recipe because I'm curious to see. This is
how many ounces of each?
3 ounces of Gordon's gin. Gotta be Gordon's.
I'd already be blasted.
one shot vodka, a half shot of dry vermouth, and then a lemon peel. So it's all booze with a lemon peel. Yeah, definitely add some fucking seltzer water to that, some tonic water. Just make a gin and tonic. It sounds a lot better than whatever this is.
Put some lemon juice in it, not just the fucking rind.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of an anti-martini podcast because we're both like not 50.
Yeah.
Like I know that
early 20-year-old women.
Yeah, probably not. Like I'm like, ooh, add a little bit of passion fruit puree. Let's get fruity. But yeah, I just like that doesn't seem appealing to me, and I would only drink it if it was a last resort, and I would really be making a lot of faces the whole time. Maybe it's to help them mask their poker face, because everyone's wincing from the cocktail that you're like, well, I don't know what kind of cards Jim has because he's just wincing from the straight gin I'm making him drink. And then I feel like for a snack, it's just gotta be
something
fancy. The first thing that comes to mind is shrimp, which shows how unclassy I am. I'm like, what's a fancy food? Shrimp.
We had what is it? When we watched The Incredibles, we had bacon wrapped scallops.
That could be fancy.
It feels like seafood feels like a good theme, but also
because they're in the Bahamas for a little bit, so that's kind of something.
Yeah, if you want to be as horny as James Bond is sucking on Eva Green's fingers, you could get some what is it, oysters? A little bit of an aphrodisiac and just slurp it down.
Oh, so gross. Imagine eating a fucking oyster and then drinking your cup of gin. I could not think of anything worse. And I would need to be watching a pretty good fucking movie for that to be worth it. And this movie does not hold up to that standard.
Yeah. We're definitely not setting you up for success, but I think this is what James Bond would lean towards.
I also think it would be pretty fun if you're hosting a soiree for this. Definitely everyone has to show up in full black tie. And in a little poker game, I guess, but
just play Uno.
Play Uno. Yeah. High stakes Uno, though. Be like, hold it like Russian roulette. You have a gun to someone's head and you're like, draw 4. That would be a lot more fun to me than poker.
No, you could do that game where it's like all shots of water and then like one of vodka or something like that. Some drinking roulette or whatever you want to call it.
Or he poisons James Bond's drink at one point, and I just loved this part of the movie where it was such a good visual representation of what it's like to be absolutely fucked in public.
This is what you'll be like after having that martini.
Yeah. He's like in the bathroom and the lights are really blurry and he can't stand up and he like just runs out into the street and gets almost hit by a car. And I'm like, that is so, I mean, not relatable to me personally, but when you're real drunk and you like can't walk straight, that...
I really liked how he tried to pull Trig and just, like, puke and rally.
Right, yeah.
Like, girl, we've all been there. I hear you, James.
Yeah, because he had been poisoned, and we were both screaming at the TV. We're like, puke! Just puke! That's how you take care of that.
I think either one of us could have easily done better than James in this situation. Like, James Bond obviously didn't go to university or anything like that. Actually, maybe he did. He went to, like, some prestigious college, but, like, if you're not pulling Trig on a Saturday night, did you go to college? I don't know.
Okay, what movie are you picking as a follow-up?
I said a different answer last time we recorded this, but since I've had some time to marinate and think about it, I'm gonna go with, Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron, which is kind of a bit of a female spy type Bond movie, and it's also Charlize Theron, so like why the fuck would I not? And it's pretty gay from what I've heard.
You've never seen it? I've never seen it either.
No. Maybe we watch it.
That's a bold choice for you to pick a movie you've never seen as a follow-up. But yeah, female spy, because if you're doing like a spy thing, that could be a vibe for sure.
What am I going to pick? Red Sparrow? No. Little ballerina Jennifer Lawrence.
I'm not going to get into how I feel about her again, but anyways.
What's your choice?
I think I love a good, like, Degrees of Separation movie marathon. So you do Daniel Craig is James Bond. Who is he married to? Rachel Weisz. What has Rachel Weisz been in recently that slapped so hard? The Favorite. So you do, like a husband-wife double feature, and I think it's really it's a good shift, a good tonal shift, because after watching shitty James Bond for 6.5 hours, I just want a little lesbian romp. I just want to see Olivia Colman living her best life, bathing in some mud, and I think that would be a good, tonal shift to the evening. I love Rachel Weisz. She's great. I didn't even really know that her and Daniel Craig were married until fairly recently, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's a good Hollywood couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Yeah. Bonding over their ball torture.
She's like, honey, have I got a new script for you? Just came in the mail. Let's suit up. Thanks for everyone who listened. Sorry if this wasn't up to... No, I'm not going to apologize. I think this was fine. I think we made some hot points, and I think that this time away from the movie has really let it seep deep into my soul and also has exited my brain almost entirely.
Yeah, you're free to let it go now.
Yeah, right. The sweet release of never having to think about James Bond again. I really, as soon as it crashed, I was like frantically trying to write down every plot point I could remember because I was like, "Fuck, I can't talk about this again. I don't even remember what happened." But yeah, so thanks
for listening.
Thanks for listening. And next month we will be hitting you with some listener requested movies. So the next 4 episodes are all going to be people who've written in. And anytime you want to write in and suggest a movie you want us to talk about, definitely, we aren't just limiting it to next month. Forever and always tell us, what you want us to talk about. And
we love your feedback.
Yeah. Signing off. Tom Holland, hit us up.